Welcome back to the Garden Fresh podcast. Again, I'm your host, Mason Gardner. On today's podcast, we got a special podcast. It's my buddy, Mason Bendigo. And not just because it's him, this is my first Zoom podcast, so we'll see how that goes. Mason Bendigo is the host of the Breathe in Air podcast, which is a mind optimization podcast. What does that mean? He is trying to set you right mentally to get prepared for the future. I have an intimate relationship with this man, not sexually, but mostly with the podcast. I've been doing art for his social media and stuff like that for the last couple of years. We're on, what would you say, episode number
112 was Wednesday. 113 Wednesday, yeah.
Let's go.
113.
All right, Mason. We kind of had a little flub up here. I didn't hit record the first time we started this. This is the first Zoom episode. So I'm going to ask you again. You hit 100 episodes a while back, and I know when I hit 10, I was like pumped. You know what I mean? Like 100, that had to feel like crazy, right?
Yeah, it was a great feeling. It's just a culmination of making it a habit, right? And that's really what it was for me. It's like, if I don't drop a episode every week, it felt weird. Like I was committed to the process of doing it at that point, regardless of any outcome that I was going to receive on the back end. I kind of just told myself, like, I'm committing to this and I'm going to do it. And so, I mean, those results compile and you hit 100 and, man, it flies by fast. I get the memories on Facebook and stuff, and just even seeing how I used to talk about the episodes on social media, like being able to make yourself put a camera in front of your face, even when it's awkward sometimes. Like, it's fun to see the progression over the years.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like I was number 6 on the list. I guess like if you want to track it back, that'd be the reason I started my podcast. You showed me like kind of the like way pretty much like, you were the sensei, yeah. I guess. You know what I mean? I had my little taste as a guest on yours, and I was like, damn, this is cool. And then over the years, helping you with the all the social media posts and stuff, I was like, damn, this would be a cool thing to do. I'm going to say that we have a different tone to our podcast, but you're probably actually helping people. I'm just out here just rambling mostly, but it's all fun regardless, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's everybody takes things different ways, you know, and you'd be surprised about people you're probably helping without even trying to, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, like I said, it's the first Zoom podcast. You can see over my shoulder the casting couch there where we typically do the podcast. But, Mason, I don't want to start off too seriously, so let's get into something goofy, okay?
Yeah.
Have you seen our girl Martha Stewart lately?
I have not.
No? Okay.
What is she up to?
Let me show you a little something about Martha Stewart. Our girl Martha is selling coffee, but do you see she's 81 years old.
Bro, she looks bad.
Yeah. I'm like, she's 81.
Martha.
Only wearing an apron, fucking slinging coffee.
The future is bright.
Yeah, I know, right? Now, what do you think you're going to be doing at 81, dude? Still hitting the pod?
Oh, man. Probably not. I mean,
yeah.
All things put together, that would be a long time. I mean, we're talking like if I make it that long.
Yeah.
If I make it to 81,
yeah.
I hope I'm just enjoying family and in somewhere beautiful in nature, and probably been retired for a long time at that point. And
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think family would probably be the only thing I cared about at that point.
So, talking about our podcasts have a little different tone. You always have like these, like, I don't know if you want to call them thought leaders or these individuals that have kind of cracked the code in certain different, like, different fields. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know I always see your like cooking videos and pictures and stuff, like health and wellness is like a big part of your life, right?
Yeah,
So like
absolutely.
what keeps you like in the mindset of wanting to stay motivated around health and wellness, you know what I mean? Because it seems like you're
Um,
always trying to optimize optimize your mindset about how to get better, how to stay healthy, stuff like that.
I would say I'm not always motivated, but I just know the end result because, when I don't eat healthy and when I don't exercise and when I don't prioritize sleep and I don't, prioritize my schedule, then I feel like shit and I perform like shit.
Yeah.
And then whenever I've created habits where, I like to eat healthy and I eat mainly for fuel, and don't get me wrong, I definitely indulge.
Yeah.
But you can feel such a difference. And I think it all came back to me becoming more aware of
Yeah.
myself and my surroundings. And it was like, damn, like, is this actually good for me? Like, when I eat like shit, I feel like shit. Like, I'm not as productive. And then when I don't work out, I don't feel very good. I have less energy. When I don't sleep well, that starts everything for the day.
Yeah.
I basically start off on the wrong foot because I don't feel energized. And I mean, without getting into too much of the science of it, it's just like I'm not always motivated to do it, but I do it because I know it's what I need to do to perform my best.
I feel that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a thought the other day just listening to music, and I know it's kind of like a consistent theme with like how people make like songs, like top selling songs. There's like
Yeah.
almost like a recipe, I guess, like a specific structure. But when I was thinking about that is like, you have that structure to a song, and if that's all of those pieces that are there, usually that song is a good song, right? But you can take that over to lifestyle too. You know what I mean? If you can figure out that right structure to your life, like, do you have any sort of like structure that you kind of like lean on? I know the podcast is a big part of your life, but eating healthy, like what do you kind of structure your life on to kind of stay moving down the path of where you want to go? You know what I mean? Instead of feeling like stagnant.
Yeah. I think it comes down to a lot of tools that we can utilize. I don't think there's one thing that you can just say, this is the end all be all, right? Anyone that tells you that, they're probably trying to sell you something. To me,
Yeah.
it's having tools in your tool bag that you can utilize, like breath work when you're stressed out, or meditation, or, channeling energy in the gym instead of towards booze or whatever else. Being able to be aware of what you want and have a plan, and then set micro goals on the daily to go execute while still being patient and realizing that shit takes time. You're going to have to fail, having a purpose and a passion. I think those are huge too, because you got to have something that's bigger than you. Right. And for me, it's this idea of alignment. I feel like whenever I'm in alignment, when I'm doing these little things and getting these micro wins, whether it's eating healthy, getting good sleep, working out, making sure I'm planning out my day before I go to sleep. So when I wake up, I'm just like hitting the ground running.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Obviously, prioritizing friends and like being able to step away from work sometimes, which I sometimes I'm not the best at. You probably know that when I'm texting you like 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But I think when you're in alignment and when you feel what that alignment feels like, things kind of flow.
Right.
Like there's just this weird thing that happens where ideas and people and situations starts coming into your life because you've just kind of nailed down this spot where you're supposed to be. And that's not to say that it's easy by any means, but when you feel it, you'll never forget the feeling. And I think that's one of the biggest things that I try and like help people get to a place where they feel that alignment. Because I know for me, when I originally felt it, it was like, damn, I want everybody to have. It's like when you see a good movie, you go to a good movie and you're like, damn, that movie was sick. I want to go tell my boys about that. you're like, yo, you gotta go see this movie, or you gotta go listen to this song, because it made you feel some type of way when you were watching it, and it was so good that you had to share it with everybody.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. It's like I felt that feeling, and I was like, damn, everybody needs to feel this. And if they feel it and they like choose to ignore it, fine.
Right.
But for people who never get to like feel this alignment where your internal environment with yourself and your external environment and your daily actions all come together, and it's like a magical moment where shit just starts falling into place, I was like, that's what I want people to be able to feel.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, dude, like, I feel like I can kind of get that from you just by like the podcast guests that you choose. I mean, I know you can kind of view it as maybe like you're bringing these people on to like bring light to the things that they're talking about, but I know that those are the things that you're interested in. You know, you wouldn't have these people on if you weren't
Right.
interested in those certain things, you know?
Yeah.
I don't remember his name, but a guy you had on a while back, he was big into, what was he doing? He was big into like, I know one thing was like he didn't want to use like certain deodorants because of like adding like chemicals to your body, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's it's weird when you start taking baby steps into stuff like that and you start learning like little things that you're like, oh shit, I've been doing this my whole life, and you know, I don't know what's gonna come out of that, but
Right.
I do. I mean, I tried that. I still use like some natural like organic deodorant. And dude, let me tell you, like when I first started that shit, my body was not used to it. Like,
I know it doesn't work. Yeah,
no,
you're like,
it's
this
like
shit doesn't work.
Yeah, but then it like gradually is like, you know, starts to work. I guess like your body like starts to like kind of understand what's going on. But at first, like whenever it loses like the fucking aluminum or whatever's in the deodorant, like your body's like, this will last 2 hours, then you'll stink the rest of the day. And I'm like, damn, I bought some cheap shit. But I guess I don't know. My body was just denying it first.
Yeah, I saw a thing the other day on that, and it's like aluminum, or there's in your traditional deodorants, it like actually closes up your pores, so you don't actually sweat out anything or detox anything, and so it literally just closes everything up. But I guess when you use more of a natural deodorant, it kind of lets your body detox a little bit more, which is probably when you first start getting used to it. Is when you're like, does this even work?
Yeah, no, for sure. I was just being too cheap to go buy a new one. I just kept using it, and then eventually I was like, all right, maybe it is working, I guess. You know, I don't know.
That's funny.
Yeah, but all right, dude. I know you're big into sports. You're a former college athlete, right? Have you been paying attention to any of this stuff with the Phoenix Suns and the owner wanting to sell the team, and now Jeff Bezos is considering buying the team?
Oh, wow.
Did you see that?
I mean, I haven't.
Yeah.
I am not surprised. Jeff Bezos, that dude's something else. I mean, I feel like they have like a monopoly on the world. If there's one company that has a monopoly on the world, it's Amazon.
For sure, dude. And can you imagine, like, I know, what's his name? Mark Cuban is like hardcore. He's at every game. But fucking, like Jeff Bezos, I don't know if he'll be at every game, but if he puts his mind behind like getting the Suns right, you know, they're already good, but getting the Suns to a winning team, like I feel like, how are you going to stop somebody like that? I know he has like the cap and certain structures he has to work under, but you can't tell me that the type of deals that he can kind of fucking work out for a player, like outside of the fucking contract, like, hey, I'll give you a fucking you know, you do a little advertising for Amazon, we'll cut you a check, you know what I mean?
Right. I don't know. I just feel like, how does this dude have the bandwidth for that? Like, Cuban's definitely locked in with the Mavs and has like taken them through that long ride with Dirk and stuff, and you know, won the championship and increased his net worth with that team. But Dude, I mean, Bezos has so much going on. They're building rocket ships now with Blue Origin. Like they have all this automation stuff with robotics, and I mean, it would be interesting if he actually stepped away from that to try and properly own a sports team. I don't know if that would happen.
Yeah. Oh, Wyatt finally hit the screen over here. Producer Wyatt is on location at his house. So
Is this like your Jamie, like your Joe Rogan?
yeah, it
Jamie?
is. He'd be googling for us, but he's gone again. But Wyatt, you can hit the chat over here on the right if you need to say anything. What was I gonna say? But yeah, I know he stepped down as CEO of Amazon, but like you're saying, he has all this other shit going on. Like, how is that? All I can see if he just buys the team and then just pays the best people to do the thing. I can see that. I don't know. I think it would be wild if he's like actually involved. You know, it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I know LeBron's trying to do that for sure eventually. Whenever he steps away.
Well, I saw Shaq was interested in the Suns. You know, he don't probably have the $2 billion for it, so it'd probably been a group. You know.
Yeah.
But he said that he backed out when he found out Jeff Bezos was interested.
Because he was like, "There's no way I can't play this game."
Yeah, he's like, "You don't mess with Jeff Bezos," and I was like, "Damn, that's kind of, huh."
I'm telling you, that dude. When you look at Amazon as a whole and what all they can do, aside from like what they've done with Amazon.com and e-commerce, you literally have like Twitch streaming platform. You have Whole Foods, groceries. You have, I mean, like Blue Origin, rocket ships.
Yeah.
You have Amazon Prime on streaming. You have Amazon Games.
They got
you have
Thursday
like
Night Football.
almost every industry has some Amazon-owned subsidiary within it. It's nuts.
Yeah. The fact that they got Thursday night like NFL football this year, I was like, damn, that's crazy. Like, and it's completely only on Prime. And I was usually it's like half on, you know, one thing and then still on a big network. But dude, I mean, how much fucking money was that? Like, how much was that contract? You know,
I love that presentation. What they've done with that, I enjoyed watching it. I think it's good. Tony Gonzalez on there, Sherman. I've been enjoying that.
I did. What's his name? Dude with the beard. If you just said it, you cut out. I don't know.
Richard Sherman?
No, white dude with the beard.
Tony Gonzalez, Richard Sherman. I can't remember the other guys. And there's the girl. I think there's 4 of them, right?
Yeah, but shit, I fucking love that dude. It was a quarterback for the Dolphins when Tua got there.
Oh, Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
Yes.
It's magic.
I love him, dude. He's cool as shit. Cool as the other side of the pillow, dude.
It's magic.
Yeah. But no, I like that crew. Tony Gonzalez kind of holds it down as the OG, but the other two are fucking smart as shit, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Sherman's super smart.
Yeah. All right, dude. Got another fucking wild thing for you. Have you seen this this trans teacher in Canada with the big fake tits?
Nope.
Okay, about to bust this out on you. So, at first, I was like, "What the fuck," right?
Okay.
But can you see this,
bro? Yes, I can see it.
So, at first, the story come out that this teacher, this guy that, you know, used to be a male turned female and had been teaching his woodshop class with giant prosthetic boobs, right? Well, come to find out, he got in trouble last year for being like overly manly or some shit like that, like super I don't know what you would call that, but just like toxic masculinity, right? He was exuding that.
Okay.
So this year he shows up to class in that to like say F you. You know, if you're not going to tell me I'm being too toxic as a man, I'm going to dress like a woman just to say F you. And now you can't say nothing to me because, you know, like the current climate, you can't go after a trans woman. Right. So like he's going to shop class and the kids love him. They think he's funny as shit, but they're not going to say anything to him because now he's dressing as a woman. And with these ridiculous like prosthetic tits on and shit. I don't know. When I first saw it, I was like, what the fuck? This is crazy. And then when I found out that he was doing it as like a big FU, I was like, this dude might be my hero. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's wild.
Yeah.
That is a serious life change to make a statement. So, dude, when I see stuff like that, I'm just like, we live in a simulation.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
It's crazy.
So, dude, it kind of brings me back, like, in high school, I like to push the limit a little bit with, like, the rules. And we had this principal that did not let guys wear cutoff sleeve shirts, right? But girls could wear, like, a tank top as long as it's, like, over the finger width. There's, you know, like an inch wide or some shit.
Right.
So, one day I wore a cutoff shirt, and then he like gave me detention, and I said, well, the girls can wear it, what's up, you know? And he's like, well, they have shaved armpits. So the next day I show up to school with fucking shaved my armpits, wore the same shirt back to class, and he didn't say shit. Like, and I showed him, like, I walked up to him with my armpits up, you know what I mean? And I was just like, this is like, if there is a rule, like, give me a fucking realistic rule, you know what I mean? Like, don't say because of shaved arms. I mean, but anyways, it's just crazy like how our society it has like put certain structures around things that would force a man to he's a fucking woodshop teacher. Of course he's manly. What do you mean? You know what I mean? What do you mean he's manly? So you drove him to wearing a
There's something else going on there, man. There's got to be.
Yeah, it has to be. But just like that shit it cracked me up, dude.
Yeah, that's comedy for sure.
Yeah. So Mason, getting back to mental optimization. I know we're all over the place, but
who cares?
Do you have a mantra or anything like that? I know a lot of people that are I know. So I'll just start with mine. Mine is do good, be kind. I got that tattooed on me.
Yeah.
And I'll try to keep to that. You know, it's kind of hard to always do that. But do good, be kind kind of speaks to me in a way like, you know, there's a lot of things that happen to you in your life that you can choose to kind of take personally or choose to kind of I don't know, seek revenge upon. But to me, do good, be kind kind of speaks to me in a way like, you know, not everybody's perfect. Not everybody was raised the same way. Not everybody has the same mindset when it comes to how to move upon their life and how to interact with other people. But do you have anything like that that kind of speaks to you, that you think about, that kind of keeps you kind of focused on who you want to be? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the easy answer is everyday action, extraordinary mindset, right? That's kind of the mantra for the podcast.
Right,
and
yeah.
I feel like a lot in the space that I'm in, kind of, you see a lot of mindset hacks and mental optimization stuff, and it's a lot of people telling you to, like, do this one thing. And to me, it was like, you can have the best mindset in the world, but it doesn't matter if there's not action on the front end, hence action coming first in that saying. And so it's basically saying, like, you have to put in the work, and you're going to learn so much from the action that you do. When you're pairing that with a mindset, it's like a grand slam, right? But you can have a mindset and get nothing done, a good mindset, and get nothing done because, you know, you're not doing it. And then I think the other one that really sticks out to me, and probably a big reason why I started the show, was iron sharpens iron. I have that one tattooed on me.
I like that, yeah.
That was one that I always, my dad always used to say when I was growing up, and it's kind of like you're the culmination of the 5 friends that you hang out with the most, right? And to me, I kind of took it to the next level and said I always want to like challenge my thought patterns. I want to challenge like what I was told growing up. I want to challenge, what the media is telling you, and I want to challenge like all these things and find it out by myself. And I always want to put myself in rooms where I feel like I'm learning and I'm getting better, right? Because we've all had those friends who we can easily get pulled down the wrong path, and we have those people who constantly like pull us up and uplift us. And so those were a couple of things, and I was like, I want to be the guy for my friends and everyone that I come in contact with that's able to pull people up. And in doing so, I feel like we get so much more in return.
Yeah, I like that, man. I mean, iron sharpens iron. That's like, fuck. That saying's probably old, like super old, but it's one of those that's like it always rings true. You know what I mean? Like it.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
We can't do this life thing alone, man. We got to have friends and people that help us along the way.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the biggest levers we can pull in terms of our success too, like learning from things that other people have already done and doing the things that they did good, not doing the things like that's your quickest cheat code to like accelerating growth in a small period of time is just look at the history.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. Dude, that kind of, I mean, you kind of seem like networking is, I know it probably necessarily, I'm not going to say, I don't want to take anything away from you and say it comes easy to you, but it seems like you're good at interacting with people in a way that kind of builds trust and allows you to kind of get in with them in a way that would help you kind of advance your life and not just befriend them in a way. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that made sense or not.
I mean, yeah, I think we all have innate gifts and things that we're blessed with. I think that was another big reason why I started the show was so that I could use that for a positive way. I could put that energy in a positive light. The other thing I realized was just that whenever I'm giving and not expecting anything in return, like people can tell when you're being authentic or not. And people can tell if you actually care or not. There's so many times where we're not present when we're having conversations with other people, and just like being present in that moment, like people will be able to tell, and people are drawn to that because you're listening, you're paying attention, you're like doing things that not a lot of other people do, like our phones all the time buzzing and constant distractions, and like just being present with somebody and like listening to them and being a good listener. I mean, that will make the biggest impact in the connections that you make. And then the other thing is just have a skill, have something that you bring to the table, because you can make so many good connections by giving first. Because if you just go to somebody, say someone who's really good at real estate, let's just say, and you're like, man, I want to learn about real estate. And you go to them, you're like, hey man, like I really love to learn about like what you do and how you do it better. Like they may or may not, if they're a really successful person, they probably don't have time to just like walk you through something.
Yeah.
But if you go to them and you're like, hey man, I really love what you're doing. I have a couple brokers who I really want to introduce you to. And then there may be a few people that, that I've met recently that are interested in buying a house. Also, by the way, I would really love to learn how you've built your business and like, see how the tone changes on that. It's like, you're coming with something in your hands. You're showing up to the house party with a bottle, you're not going to the house party and drinking all their booze. So it's like that, when you take that mindset of, giving first, it's like the doors open up and you get a lot more responses when you're reaching out to people. And then it helps you kind of say like, this is what I'm good at. This is the skill that I bring to the table. And that's how good networks and connections are built, I think, is like, it's an exchange of one thing or another. Any relationship that you've ever been in, whether it's with a girlfriend, significant other, or a friend, if they're always taking from you and never giving you anything in return, it's probably not a very good relationship.
I feel that, dude. Yeah, you're right. I mean, like, you just triggered a lot of things in my head, but it makes me think like, I remember when I was younger, and say I would go over to a friend's house or something, and I would always feel bad, like if we would go like to the movies or some shit, and like my mom didn't give me fucking $20 to go to the movies, and then their parents had to pay for it, and I was like, fuck, I don't want, like, I'd rather not go to the movies than you pay for my movie, you know what I mean?
Right.
But as a kid, like, you just kind of like are like, all right, whatever. But I do see, like, you're throughout your life, you're gonna have those feelings, and you really do need to act on those. If you feel a certain way, like, you need to pay for the movie because, like, hey, they shouldn't have to. You need to, like, offer up different things, you know what I mean? Just out of, like, respect and being, like, chivalrous, stuff like that. But yeah. So you were talking to me about earlier before we got on about you had gotten into a group of, like, entrepreneurs that was kind of do you want to talk about that? Like yeah. What's going on with that? Because that sounded super interesting.
So one of my goals this year was, and you know this because I talked to you a lot about the show, but it was to kind of start building a business around the show.
Yeah.
Up front, I took the idea that I'm going to do this without anything other than wanting to make a positive impact and build it and see if I enjoy it and see what happens. And my social media kind of blew up. The podcast started doing really well. And I started just getting so much out of it. And I was getting a lot of great feedback. And so 2 years fly by and I'm like, dang, I put a lot of time and effort and value out there for free. And now for people, who want to be able to pull the lever per se on the skills that I've created around building this show, I want to be able to add them even something more exclusive, right? And so everybody knows the economy is kind of shitty right now. And one of these things that I really latched onto, Alex Hormozy said it, but he was just talking about how early on in his career, like, he took his money and invested in skills instead of investing in the stock market. And he was like, if I invested this much money at the stock market at this rate, I would have been a millionaire in like 30 years. But he was like, I've done that like tenfold by investing in myself and then creating skills that are recession proof, or, skills that, like I said, can add value to other people. Because at the end of the day, that's what a product or service is, right? It's something that gives value and solves a problem for somebody else. And so I joined this mastermind of like-minded individuals. It kind of goes back to the iron sharpens iron. I'm the only person in the group that isn't an entrepreneur full-time. And the people in the group are specific to kind of what I wanted to do. It's coaches, it's podcast hosts, it's speakers, and it's people who have monetized their shows and, have built sustainable businesses around what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I kind of just took an investment and I said, I'm going to invest in myself here and do this for 6 months. And I kind of laid out a plan of, hey, for the next 6 months, this is what I want to get out of this mastermind. And, even with that, the first thing that I think of when I get in there is like, how can I help these people? Because, me, I'm feeling like a lot of these people are more senior than me. And, they're like, okay, how can I actually like give value to these people and them not just think I'm like sucking it out of them? Of course, we all paid to get in the mastermind, but I'm like, I want to be able to like give something here. And so that was just another one of those things, like the angle that I'm taking with it is, to reach out to everybody in the mastermind individually and just say like, hey, how can I help you with, what's like one health struggle that you're dealing with? Like, or what's one like goal that you have physically? Because I know like I have that down and I can help in that department. Or, maybe what's something with your social media that you want to grow or have you been struggling with? Or like, maybe I can give you some tips and tricks for how I've helped grow my show, or like how I've used social media to get guests or whatever that may be, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of just the the way that I looked at it, and I'm really glad I did already. You know, it's just, you got to just take that leap and do it. And if you have a mindset and like a vision of something way bigger than like this small moment, which I do for the show, it was like a no-brainer at the end of the day to go ahead and do that.
That's cool, man. Dude, you know, you're talking about social media. It's funny when it comes to like showing people what you can do, you know, like I kind of started years ago with photography, and that's kind of how I slowly built my account up. And, but, you know, over time, it's like I do a lot of other stuff than just photography, but I never show that on my social media. And I'm like, damn, I've been kind of like fucking up because who, you know, I want to be like, if somebody's like, hey, I need a new logo or whatever it may be, some sort of like branding thing, I want them to think about me first. But really all I get off of my social media, not as much lately, but before I started kind of showing stuff, was just like, hey, will you do these like product photography stuff? And that's cool, you know, I like that, but it's like, you know, I need to actually like push like real you know, stuff out there that like is the big money makers, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I've only really been like kind of like word of mouth, all the other stuff, you know, which is kind of silly to me when, you know, you think about like, I should probably know that. I should have known that, you know what I mean? But it seemed like I got like a dopamine hit every time I posted a photo that was pretty and it got a lot of likes and stuff like that. I was like, this is what people that follow me want to see. It's not necessarily making me the money I want to make, but this is what the people follow me for, you know what I mean? And I should have been like, in hindsight, I should have been slowly trickling in the other stuff, you know? Which is
it's the hardest thing, dude. And that's what I'm doing right now with like building out an offer for the podcast that kind of goes hand in hand with it, is niching down, because I mean, there's so many different things that I would like want to do. And I'm sure same with you. But it's like really narrowing down on that exact person, that exact avatar. Like your person is a, you know, 26-year-old female who had daddy issues and likes to eat pizzas on Friday, maybe go to the bars on Saturday. She has two best friends. One's tall, one's short, and her mom has brown hair. Like, I'm talking get as specific as possible. And when you can, it's like, you know exactly who that person is. You know exactly where they hang out, what they do, and you know what they're interested in. And then it makes the sales process and growing your business like a lot easier. And that's where I had the biggest struggle, because I'm like, I don't want to do it. But I know I need to, right?
Yeah. That's cool.
And that's where you see tremendous growth too. It's like way more ROI for your time.
Yeah. Talking about ladies, your girlfriend Lexi is an entrepreneur herself, right? Like she has her clothing line. What is that like being kind of like a couple? Because my relationship's definitely not like that. Mary Kate's a therapist, so you know it's very. She's not a salesman. You know what I mean? Yeah. So what is that like being in a relationship with another entrepreneur, as like a male female relationship? Because that would be completely new for me.
Yeah, it's fun, man. Like that's one of my favorite characteristics about her is her ambitious and creative side to build that out. So she freelances microblading, which is like cosmetics for women. And then she also has her swim company, which is called 74 Swim. And it's a sustainable swimsuit line. Oh, and cool. So she actually started that when we were dating. So I kind of got to see like, it's been a couple years since she launched. I think she's had two or three launches like for different suits. But
yeah.
It's been like cool to see her designing process. Like I feel like she really enjoys the designer aspect of it.
Yeah.
And then of course she's actually really good on the marketing side with social media, because not only is that how she does her e-commerce for her swimwear line, but that's also how she gets clients for microblading. So it's like she's done a good job of that. But it's fun, man, because I feel like I can bounce ideas off her. She can bounce ideas off me. She's always kind of having new, different ideas and things that we can kind of like play with. And that was like, everyone's dynamic is different, but for me, I like that. And I think she understands my hustle a little bit
Yeah. Yeah.
because she has that as well. And so kind of when I'm like working a little later, or like, you know, maybe a Saturday, instead of us like doing something for a second, I'm going to like go do this. And she understands. So
Yeah.
I think that's a big piece of it, but also just, you know, someone that you could share some of the struggles with, you know, because it's not
Yeah.
always, I think entrepreneurship has been made to be like roses and candy now. And it's just, you know, not that by any means. Like it's hard, even if you find
Yeah.
your passion, something you want to do. That's why a lot of people fail at it.
Hmm.
And so it's nice to have someone to be able to like share that with.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Like I don't like Mary Kate is definitely like she's understanding, you know what I mean? But still, you know, I've had to have like conversations with her in a way that I'm like showing like I want to spend time with you, but you know, I have to get this done and stuff like that. She's always been
Yeah.
cool about it, but it makes sense where Lexi would be kind of like right in the zone, like understanding you on that, you know, because
Right.
I'm sure you have to do the same with her, like, you know, vice versa.
Yeah.
That's pretty
And
cool.
you always have to prioritize that too. I had a couple guys on, they created this thing called the 5 Ls, and they were both C-suite in the corporate world. And then, you know, one went through a divorce and the other one had like a whole bunch of issues. They both kind of only worked, like they had the one thing, and they did the
Yeah.
5 Ls. And hopefully I don't butcher this all, but it's labor, love, leisure, leave, and labor, love, leisure, leave, and the other L I'm forgetting, laughter.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they're saying
I
like
like
these are
that.
the 5 L's for a balanced life. And they were like, for the longest time, I had this one L. I had labor,
Yeah.
and everything else was like hurting. You know, no laughter, no love, no not
Yeah.
knowing when to leave and like pivot. You know, leave I think could be a lot of different things for different people, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, whatever that may, a job that's not serving you anymore, or whatever that may be. But yeah, it was really eye opening for me because I think they kind of painted a good picture of it. We all hear about like this work life balance, which doesn't exist for some
Yeah.
people, but
Yeah.
I definitely think it's important to prioritize that. And the more efficient you can be, the more you can get done. Because a lot of times I feel like we think we're busy, but we're not that busy. We're just like
Oh,
distracted a lot of the
yeah,
time.
for sure. Yeah. Now you said something right there about leaving a job that's not servicing you anymore. Now, like our parents' generation, that would be almost taboo to even say that the job is not servicing you. You know what I mean? Because they were kind of taught that you stay loyal to your job because that's what puts the friggin', you know, bacon on the
Right.
table. But, you know, our generation has kind of learned that, you know, you really kind of need to do what's best for yourself. You know, I know it's been a year or so since you moved to Nashville, right? Like,
Right.
when you were starting to look at that move, like, what was kind of your mindset around like leaving your current job, taking the new job, starting in a new city? Because, like, I feel like a lot of us leaving, your first like big job is a big deal, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know.
Yeah. So for me, I think growing up, I moved a lot. And so I wasn't, you know, I've had family in Arkansas my whole life, and it's always kind of been a little slice of home for me. But I was never really like held down to one place as opposed to someone who maybe has grown up in one place their whole life.
Yeah.
And that didn't come without its own challenges. I mean, I moved when I was in sixth grade and eighth grade, like weird times when you're going through puberty and stuff, and like you're trying to make friends, and then you leave again, and then you try and make friends again, and then you leave again, and then, you know, getting
Yeah.
bullied and like all these other things that like come with being this new guy in a new place. Man, this is off the topic of what you were saying, but I just had been thinking about this lately. I feel like a lot of my love for, like health, fitness, wellness, the stuff that I love now, like training and that kind of stuff, came from an insecurity that I had back whenever I had moved in sixth grade, and I got bullied because I was super tall, but I was super skinny. And I didn't really grow into my body until later. So I was like hella goofy. Like I was athletic and I always loved sports. And that was definitely a big driver for me to train and like be my best physically. Yeah. But also there was just like this little thing in the back of my head of like remembering people making fun of me because of the way I ran or like being like tall. So I just had been thinking about that. I was like, damn, that's kind of crazy. But anyways, back to the ing thing.
Before you get into that, it makes me think like I almost had like the reverse thing where like I moved a lot until sixth grade, and that was like my final move, right? But I was huge. I was like a head taller than every kid. I was chunky, but I was just like every like baseball coach wanted me. All the basketball coaches. I was like a giant compared to most of these kids. Right. You know what I mean? But the thing with me almost is like a negative to your positive, where like I was like, I didn't have to try that hard because I was just like kind of naturally athletic. I was already bigger than all these kids. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that probably led to me being a little more lazy because like I wasn't forced to have to try. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you're like explaining the opposite where you had to like put in the work to get of size. You know what I mean? And I was like, damn, that kind of is like we had the opposite fucking things happen to us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I was definitely gifted naturally in the athletic area for sure. And I just was naturally a better athlete than majority of the kids that I was going up against, especially at that age. But it was just like that weird piece of it that kind of drove me to like prove people wrong. Like I wanted to do it for me, but I also was just like, fuck you. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to show you, buddy. Yeah. Like,
Yeah. I wish I had that shit. Damn. Yeah. Like, I mean, I know you gotta, even as an adult, you gotta have things that kind of kick you in the ass that make you want to excel. You know what I mean? It's very easy to like lay back and get comfortable. If you start making a little money or whatever, you're just like, this is it. This is home, whatever. And then you fucking start getting fat or what, you know what I mean? So like you got to keep that thing, that cattle prod in your back, even if it's you doing it to yourself, you know what I mean? Like you got to keep a reason to keep going, Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Going back to your move.
Yeah. Just on that real quick, I feel like you got to keep in mind that you're always dying. So that's inevitable. And like you have to keep that in mind sometimes. I know a lot of people don't like to think about death, but I think death can be one of the biggest motivators ever. It's like, why am I spending so much time worrying about this thing that's not going to matter? Like 90% of the thoughts and like the worries that we have actually don't come true. That's like an actual statistic. So it's like we spend all this time worrying or not doing the things we want to do. And it's like, dude, you're going to die. Like you need to do it. And the other piece was like, if you're not growing, you're getting worse. Like there is no in between. So always just feel like you push yourself to continue to grow.
I can feel
those
that.
Were like two things that I try to always constantly remind myself.
Yeah. I mean, dude, since I was probably 14 or 15, I played basketball every freaking week. You know what I mean? At least one day a week, right? Until the pandemic. And then I just stopped. And then like sporadically since then I've played basketball every fucking time, dude. I'm like, something's aching. I'm not as fast as I used to be. You know what I mean? Something's wrong. And it's just like once you shut it off, dude, it doesn't turn back on that fast. You know what I mean? Like once you shut it off, it's downhill. So I agree with you.
It takes a long time to get it and a short time to lose it, man. And that's a lot of things in life for sure. But to the moving thing, it kind of goes hand in hand with that. Like at the time in my job that I was doing, I was in medical device sales, and I had gotten a lot from the job. It was my first job, and like was getting into a new industry. I had to learn how to, speak the surgeon's language and do all these different things. But ultimately, I just wasn't super happy with it. I knew I could be doing better financially, and just being able to see growth. Like, I think that was the biggest thing for me. I wanted to see what the growth would be like. Like, what opportunity do I have in this organization, right? And to me, I just didn't see where that was going through a multitude of things. So I decided, like, hey, I kind of want to like start looking around and seeing what I can find, and ended up finding a company. And one of those things again where kind of pieces fell into place, and ended up started interviewing without really even reaching out. It was one of those kind of connections things that just weirdly happened at the right time in the right place. And so I kind of went with it, and I did the whole interview process and all this, and didn't really think. They had kind of asked if I could be mobile, and I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, but I didn't think that they would really have me move. And I just remember they called me and they gave me the offer, and I was like, oh yeah, it's great. Like, I love that. And then they were like, by the way, we want you to come to Seattle for the whole summer, and then we want you to move to Nashville. And they had like kind of alluded, if I got the job, that our headquarters is in Seattle, so they would want me to come. But whenever they said the Nashville thing, that was like from left field. And like Lexi and I were dating at the time, and we were already doing long distance. She was in Northwest Arkansas. I was in Little Rock.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh no, she's not going to like this. I was like, I was in on it. I was like, I'm going to do it. But I was definitely, the first thought that came to my mind was like, Lexi's going to freak.
Yeah.
And, we got through it. She ended up moving out here with me. But like, that was still another time of like change and putting yourself in an uncomfortable position, because I went from one industry to the other. And then at the same time, I was in a totally new place, and then had to move from Seattle for 2 months, and then come to Nashville by myself for like a month. And then Lexi came up and ended up moving in with me. But it was just one of those things where I felt like it was right. And I feel like a lot of people have some type of like, we all have this, like, whatever you want to call it, Holy Spirit, the universe, whatever that is to you, you have that gut feeling. A lot of times it's just up to you whether or not you want to listen to it, because a lot of times that gut feeling is going to tell you to do something that you probably don't want to do, or that's uncomfortable. And
sure.
I just urge everyone to like get comfortable being uncomfortable, because on the other side of it is like everything that you want. And so like take that leap and do it. And then the other thing I would say is, if you have entrepreneurial pursuits or things that you want to do, make sure that the job that you're working at the time is creating skills, once again, to go back to that you can use in every aspect. So for me, I do sales, and I also, have a piece of it where I'm doing a lot of outreach, which I'd already kind of created that skill with podcasting. And so I also now use it with my job, and then I'm selling a product or a service similar to what I eventually want to do with the podcast. And so I've just gotten really good at like a couple of these things that kind of cross over. And the good thing too is, in today's day and age, people are going to start realizing, understanding, and respecting more so of you having your own voice, even if you're part of a corporation. And so I never really like pulled anything or stopped doing anything from what I was doing on like social, even if it was LinkedIn. Like, I still was posting all about like my podcast, and I was still like posting my message and my truth. And you'll be surprised, like, if you're authentic to that, like, a lot of people are going to love it. And it's going to help you in like a lot of different ways. It's kind of counterintuitive, because a lot of people may have thought like, oh, my company culture might not like this. Like, I need to stay in my lane. But a lot of times it adds, it adds like personalization to you, and it adds value to a lot of other people. And it's like a win-win.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree with that. I like people that ask me about any kind of like social media stuff. I was like, you got to show that you're human. You know what I mean? And it's not like I've known that for a long time. I just know that like over time I've learned like the more that they can understand you as a real person, the more that feedback comes in. You know what I mean? Like since I've started the podcast, like people have gotten to see me as a human. People that I don't really know that close have gotten to like learn about me, and it's like the love has been fucking awesome. You know what I mean? Where like before I was just like a mythical figure behind a fucking photo. You know what I mean?
Right.
But now like everybody's been super cool, and it's been sweet. But yeah, dude, I got a like a little freelance gig off of like for doing a video the other day or a couple weeks ago. And like if I hadn't been doing the podcast, working with all these like new editing tools, I wouldn't even been able to even start it. I wouldn't even took it. You know what I mean? So it's like it is kind of crazy how like new skills come into your life and then like new opportunities come right behind it.
You can use them, man.
Like,
what you've struggled so hard to like learn and do, whether it's photography or like videos or, you know, what you've done for Breathing Air and stuff, like that's stuff that people would have to then take that amount of time to learn and then go through that pain. So, oh gosh, let me, okay, this, just cause it's top of mind. And I think if anyone listening to this is like a good thing for, if you're creating an offer, right? It's like your dream outcome, and then you multiply that by like the perceived likelihood of achievement for like, say you're talking to someone trying to sell a product, right? You're trying to sell your social media. So their dream outcome is to have like a really good looking feed that has a lot of good reels on it and helps them, you know, get more traffic to land more clients. And then their perceived likelihood of achievement is you saying like, look, here's proof, but I've did this with Breathing Air. Check it out. And like, look how good his feed looks. And like, look at you can ask him, or I'll be like, yeah, Mason has really good work. And then that divided by what you said, the time delay and then the effort and sacrifice. So it's like time delay, you can shrink that window for them really quickly, right?
Yeah.
And then the effort and sacrifice on their end, zero, because they spend zero time. You send them what they ask for, like you do for the show. And so it's like when you get that, it equals value. And that value is like your offer. And that's people, you don't have to make it, you know, harder than it is, but that's kind of a way to look at it and a lens that I've seen it in lately. And it's like super good. I love it.
Dude, yeah, that's a great way to think about it. I hadn't even thought about it like that. That's pretty cool. But yeah, dude, it is pretty cool, man. I like that, you know, you're talking about the mastermind thing you got in. It's one of those deals, and just talking to you and a few other friends, do you remember like growing up and your mother would be like, either she would like some of your friends, or she would be like, you don't need to be hanging out with these folks. I mean, maybe mom didn't have a great grasp on that. Maybe she did, but that's really true. Like the people that you surround yourself with and the people that kind of talk to you every day or often, you know, you kind of start building similar mindsets. You know what I mean? You kind of play off each other. You're both kind of molding each other's mind in a way to think like, you know, forward. Theoretically, you know, negative stuff comes up, you kind of push away from it, hopefully, but you know, you still need to like be aware of what's going on. But you know, our moms kind of taught us that early on, like you don't need to be hanging out with that guy. You kind of like, if you realize that as an adult, like, hey, you know, this guy's not really great for my mental health, or he's not, you know, hanging out with this person is not really going to benefit me. And not to say like you know, you have to have people around you that you benefit from, but you know, you gotta be aware of like what's beneficial for you in the long run, you know?
Yeah, man. That's the biggest piece, is awareness. Like I definitely had that when I was a kid. I was a little shithead for sure. But I think all that goes back to is like your subconscious mind. Like the things that we consume, the people we hang out with, you know, the things that we're constantly telling ourselves, a lot of it is like a pattern. And a lot of it is like things that we're consuming that we don't even realize. And then it becomes part of our like programming. And I feel like a lot of people are walking zombies because of that, because they lack the awareness to understand that everyone is trying to prime your subconscious one way or another to benefit them, usually, you know, especially in like the world that we live in today. And so like if you aren't aware of that and like take it with a grain of salt, I'm not trying to say everybody's bad, but like this is like psychology. Like people use psychology against us all the time. So like if you're not aware of that and the way that we're wired as humans, like you'll get taken advantage of. And
Oh,
so that's where the awareness piece comes in, that you like have to understand how things work and like how your mind works and how your subconscious works and like patterns and things like that that allow you to like take back control of your life. Cause that's like the scariest thing to me. I think like not being in control of your life and the way you think, like everyone probably listening to this would be like, yeah, I'm definitely in control. But then you like start peeling back some layers and you're like, are you though? And like how many
yeah,
of those thoughts and patterns maybe came from when you were like a little kid and like things that you learned when you were little, or like things that you were told when you were little, or things that you experienced, like that you maybe haven't revisited, that's now causing more problems for you, in your older age. So like
yeah,
there's definitely a lot you can unpack there, but it all to me comes back to awareness.
yeah, for sure, dude. Yeah, dude, I like how your mind works, bro. I like that you stay on top of your shit. Like that is pretty cool. Because every time I talk to you, you're always like forward thinking. That's pretty cool.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Well, Mason, we're moving on an hour, so we're gonna move into a couple small, not necessarily games, but a few things to end us off with. But first, NFL season started. Do you give us? I'm gonna write these down, and
Okay.
whoever my podcast guest, whoever gets this at the end of the year, I'm gonna do something for him.
Sweet.
But who is your Super Bowl winner?
Um, my Super Bowl winner is the Buffalo Bills.
Bills. All right. Let's put a. You don't have to go say who they're winning by or who they're beating, but put a. How many points are they going to win or score in the Super Bowl?
They're going to score 43.
43. Okay.
They're going to put up numbers like they
All
always
right.
do.
And let's go ahead and do this because I don't know when the next time I'll have you on, but NBA champion. This is early. Season not even
Oh,
started.
dude. I'm
Yeah,
going
I
to be
know.
taking a shot in the dark here. I'll go the Suns. I'll go the Suns. We
Suns.
talked about them earlier. I
Yeah.
like
Okay.
them. Chris Paul, you got Booker, you got Aiton. I think they're hungry. They're talented. They got a shot. I'll go with the Suns.
All right. This is a little harder, but how many points they score? Oh, in their final game, whatever that game
Final
7
game?
game, yeah,
Let's go 97.
97. Just in case somebody else says Suns and they.
Right.
All right. All right, Mason, I've been asking every guest this one question before I end.
Yeah.
If you could be one person in history for 24 hours, dead or alive, you just live one 24-hour period in their life, one day, who would that be? I said Michael Jordan when he hit the shot over in against the Jazz to win his first championship.
Oof.
That 24-hour period right after he hit it, and like the fanfare that came. People have said like Ben Franklin. People have said Kurt Cobain. There's been a lot of good ones. Yeah.
Damn, man. I mean, 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Do I like have all their skills and stuff, and I'm just kind of like living through their?
Yeah, you experience what they experience. You're not necessarily changing anything. Like I wouldn't have missed that shot as
Right,
Jordan.
right,
You
right,
just
right.
you just experienced that. Last guess, Cody Hawkins said Neil Armstrong when he landed on the moon. I was like,
Damn.
damn, that's a good one. Yeah, nobody's done that since. Yeah, that was probably the pinnacle of human, pretty much.
Yeah, dude. I feel like I feel like it would have to be like, I can't think of the dude's name, but do you ever watch like The Alpinist, the dude that like literally climbed those big ass mountains and like
Oh
got to the
yeah,
top of them? Or
was it
like
like
maybe
the?
even like the dude, what was it called? 9 Peaks or 10 Peaks, where he like
Yeah,
did a couple peaks in like 24 hours or something like that.
Dude, that was an awesome documentary. Yeah.
That would be really cool. And then my football self automatically thought about Brady being down 28-3, coming back, winning the Super Bowl, going into halftime, coming back, winning that game. I mean, biggest stage, being down that. Comebacks are like the best feeling ever. At my last college game, we had a really good comeback to win the game, and that's like such a good feeling to have a comeback. So I bet on that stage it would have been unbelievable.
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. Like,
Yeah.
all the fans think you've lost. Like, yeah, dude. Yeah.
Dude, that was insane. So I can't imagine what that felt like to just like feel that momentum coming, like the whole second half, just building on it and then winning. That'd have been crazy.
Yeah, that's a good one. Dude, like, I mean, we can get out of here after this, but I heard a stat that's kind of crazy in basketball. I'm sure there's something like this that you can do in football, but in basketball, there's a higher percentage of winning the game if you go into halftime down 1 point. You have a higher percentage of winning the game. And it's like, not if you're down 2 points, not if you're up 1 point. If you're down 1 point at half, you have a higher percentage of winning the game. And I was like, what psychological thing is happening there to that whole team? That you're like, you're down, but you're not down that much. Like, it motivates you in a way that, like, when you come back, like, you're fucking hyped. I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool, you know?
Yeah, that is. It's like we're only 1 point down, but we're still losing, so we feel like we can do better because, you know, we didn't play our best, which you never do, but maybe it's just like that weird psychological piece. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I'm sure football and all the other sports have like a weird like stat like that where it's like it's not really explainable, but it happens, you know? Because could you imagine being the Falcons and that first touchdown that Brady scores, you're like, it's not that big of a deal. And then he scores again, and you're like, oh, shit, here they come. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody's already asleep. Everybody's already at Disney World by then, like in their head. You know what I mean? They've already thought about what they're going to do after the game, and then Brady's freaking train is coming. You know what I mean?
They're nuts.
Yeah, that'd be wild. All right, Mason. Thanks for coming on the pod. A last second. I mean, I hit you up today. We had a cancellation, so thanks, bro.
Yeah.
I knew you had the experience to help me out.
I had that was some synchronicities then because I had a podcast today cancel, so that's the only reason why I could do it. I actually have a pretty full week for podcasts this week, so one at 5 got moved to tomorrow, and so I was like, all right, let's do it.
Hell yeah. Perfect. All right, brother.
All right, big dog. Appreciate it.